Here's a provocative question. Is Forever Howlong the best Black Country New Road album? While you think about that answer, and while I discuss that answer, feel free to tell me in the comments right here at the outset of the video. Maybe you're wondering a different question. How am I releasing this review just 36 hours after the album came out? How long should I wait? How long? With an album like this, I wonder if the correct answer is forever. I don't know if there's ever a correct time. If there's ever enough time and space to review or to analyze an album this complex. Certainly if it's, one of your favorite bands, if it's a band that has meant so much to you, that has brought a lot to your channel and to your life. But I feel the need to release this, if for no other reason, than to ask this question as a kind of urgent message. As someone who has had this album for over a week, thanks to the folks over at Ninja Tune, I've been able to listen to this album longer than you have, most likely. And I've had a lot of responses in my head and a lot of thoughts, and I've had a lot of feelings. And so I need to communicate to you as soon as possible the fact that this could be their best album. And this is going to be how I'm going to sort of frame the whole discussion, the whole analysis, is based on the fact that when I first heard it, I didn't know. I wasn't quite sure. This is a band that has been basically a band in transformation for 3 years. So have they transformed? Is this the final form? Is this an awkward adolescence? Or what is this? Now, of course, if we're talking about what is their best album, we always have to put that up against Ants from Up There, which, is a lightning in a bottle. It's a lightning in a bottle album. It's one of those once in a lifetime, once in a generation kind of albums. So is it even possible that Forever Howlong could be up there? Well, my thoughts have been wildly all over the place on this, and I want to take you through those thoughts. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by our friend's Professor, who's been listening to this album for the last week. And what's weird is, my most recent experience listening was just wonderful. I was sitting right there on that couch with my 2-year-old, who gave me this wonderful bow to keep my hair out of my eyes late in the day on a Friday. And we were listening on the hi-fi. Again, thanks to Ninja Tune for sending me the record. It was actually funny because I was going to buy the deluxe edition, but they sent me the normal. I was like, oh, shucks. I'm a strange. I am a goofy, silly person. So I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and I got the dogs next to me, and I just had this wonderful moment of warmth, and it reminded me of the first time that I listened carefully to this album, which was about a week ago, where I was in room number 77 of the emergency room observation wing at the University of Rochester Hospital, okay? I had a really weird weekend. I'm okay, but I had some neurological scares. I thought maybe it was going to end up really badly. Fortunately, I went in the MRI machine, listened to that awesome music they got in there, and made it through. And when I was listening to it, these first couple times, sitting there in my hospital bed, I was like, man, I love the 3 singles. That was the top thought that I had. The first time listening to the album, second time, third time, fourth time, I was like, the rest of it, I don't know. But Besties and Happy Birthday and For the Cold Country, I'm like, these songs are just it. These are just great. And that tells you something. When that happens, you need to pay attention. Because on one hand, first of all, those songs were chosen perfectly. This album is sung by 3 different singers. Those are the 3 different singers on the album. It's a good microcosm of the larger album. The singles are well chosen for that. But also, it's just a question of familiarity. But not just familiarity, understanding. There's a difference between familiarity and understanding. If you hear a song enough and it's familiar, then you might just like it because you know how it goes. But some songs, I would say the better songs, the more complex songs, demand not familiarity, but a real understanding. And I've done videos on all 3 of those songs, 25-minute videos on all 3 of those songs, listen to them over and over and over and over and over again. And so that when I got to hear them in a different context, they were like a warm sweater. The same way that when I listen to Ants from Up There, I hear any of the songs, I hear Good Will Hunting, I hear whatever, and I just, it's a warm sweater. I had that feeling of just comfort and joy and love of this music. And that's the thing to remember. Is that when you have music this complex, it really does merit that level of attention and care. And as I always say, if you love an artist, then you owe that to them. Okay, you don't owe an artist necessarily money, but you do owe them attention and time if they have made great art for you. Okay, so what I did was, like I listened to it for the first time and I took notes, and I just said there's one line on this album I will never forgive. It will always annoy me. I will never think it is not just so twee, like the bow in my hair, just so twee that I will never forgive it and never enjoy it. And it was the line, "Here comes the chorus." Well, spoiler, everybody. That's one of my favorite parts of the album now. I now enjoy it every time it comes on. I get so excited because I think about where it came from in the previous part of the song. I think about where it's going in the next part of the song, and it brings me intense joy. So what I've started to do, and this is what I suggest you do, basically, you have to treat every song like a single. You have to treat every song, you have to listen to the same song 3-4 times in a row until the richness becomes clear, until the weave on the fabric, okay, the individual instruments, the sounds, the construction of the songs becomes more clear to you. Because its probably biggest flaw is that it is so monumentally complex, so deep. So that's my primary thesis, that this supreme complexity is resistant to first listens, and maybe even second listens, and maybe even third listens, which is why I was a little bit ambiguous with this whole listening party thing that I got going on here, because okay, it's probably more fun, going to a record store in Canandaigua and listening to the music than it is sitting in a hospital, but getting your hopes up. But what I want to do is I want to talk about this complexity in a fun way. Like, let's talk about the complexity as things that bothered me on the first couple listens. Okay, now I've always liked this album. I've always thought it was good. Okay, I didn't hear it and just think this is trash. But there were things that I was thinking that were perhaps to the detriment of the album that ultimately are to the benefit. Now, number one, and this is the clearest one, this album has a lack of a singular vision. Okay? There's not a singular vision to this album. All right? You want me to say it one more time? A singular vision. Okay, this has multiple visions. This has 3 songwriters and 3 voices. And especially when you think about From Ants Up There, with Isaac Wood and his amazing writing and his amazing vision and perspective, it really gives you that feeling that you get when you listen to an album, even though they're such a great band and they'll play well together, like this vision, this idealized, romanticized image of the artist, of the individual, the usually coded in a masculine way individual who is fighting and to express themselves and express their vision and impose it upon the world through their seminal work. Don't look up the etymology of the word seminal. Or do. It's what you think. But Black Country New Road has been trying to kill lead singers since they started. That's the cool thing. That's what a lot of this whole post-punk thing is doing. And I'm all for it, okay? Like, Isaac was this great lead singer, and he's like, you know what? I don't want to be a lead singer, and he's out, all right? That's like one of the great definitive actions in music history. Really, it's great. Just being like, doing what Kurt Cobain was not brave enough to do. Just stop being famous. Just stop trying to be famous, right? But then with this move of having 3 singers, they're going one step further, where not only, like, they still have singers, but there's no lead singers. The communal idea, which the thing is, when you listen to a band that has 6 or 7 people in it, and they're all making music, you can't help but feel communal. It feels, this might seem like a stretch, but run with me here, it feels kind of anti-capitalist. First of all, because, I hate to say this, but no one in the band is going to get super rich off of this music because they have to divide it, right? That's one way. All right. And then the other way is just like it's not serving that Ayn Randian. Is it Ayn Rand? How do you pronounce Ayn Rand? A-Y-N Rand. I don't know. I don't have enough power to know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Ayn. The Ayn Randian figure of the fountainhead up against the world, creating with usually his vision. Instead, we have this thing spread out. And we can't just pin it on one vision. And what do we have? Well, we have these 3 female singers, and when I heard they were doing this, I came up with a joke. It's not a good joke, but I was like, oh, they're going to be like the British Boy Genius. And I thought, how would you say boy genius in British? So I said, lad cracking, lad cracking smart, lad a real brain. I don't know. I came up with a lot of really good band names, but they're not like boy genius that much, except that they aren't defined by their differences. Now, all three of them have different songwriting styles, different voices, all that. But it doesn't feel like they're trying to define themselves in opposition to each other. They are really in harmony with each other. They are really working together. And all those things come together to have this image of what's challenging to me, because I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying to be a more interesting intellect. I'm trying to be a more interesting art appreciator. But I can't break out of the great man myth. I mean, Citizen Kane is like one of my favorite movies, unironically. Okay, I've read books and books and books on Citizen Kane. Okay, it's really hard not to have that vision. And when art is able to make great art without being that, it's something that requires study. It's something that requires a different kind of attention. And it might not be something that everybody who's in the audience is ready to hear, but I think they should. Not enough drums. That was that was my main argument. Not enough drums. But that's just because I really like Charlie Wayne's drumming. And it's a silly thing to say because it's a very well-produced album. Okay. By James Ford, one of the great modern producers who's out there right now, seriously, like one of the best producers. And not every song requires drums, and the drums that are there are very memorable. But it's still staying in. Okay, this is the thing. I kind of think, I don't pay that much attention to people who say, like, I don't like Black Country New Road as much anymore. But I pay some attention. And I kind of suspect it all basically boils down to, I don't like it when it's girls. That's how I kind of think. Now, I don't know. There are totally valid reasons to say that Isaac Wood is an amazing singer and songwriter, and if he's not there anymore, that's a bummer. It doesn't matter how you say it. But I kind of feel like there's like all these different ways of basically saying me no like girls. So anyways, I'm not challenging you individually. If you feel that way, I'm not necessarily saying that's how you feel. I am saying check in with yourself. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe me saying not enough drums, maybe I'm wanting something a little bit more, rhythmic, or a little bit more aggressive, or a little bit more technically proficient, sort of things in that realm that are often associated with more for a more kind of masculine-minded audience. And if that sounds reductive, it is. But let's keep going. Feel free to flame me in the comments if I didn't say that right. I don't think I said that right. What do you want from me? I've only been out of the hospital for a couple days. But the thing that you have to do, and I think the richness of the album, comes in the fact that, like, you can't listen to it just once. Not just because you aren't used to it. It's the way that every single member of the band is doing something cool on every single song. Like, every single member is doing something where when you listen to it for the 4th, 5th, 6th time, you go, oh, sweet. Even when there's no drums, Charlie's playing banjo. By the way, unsolicited marketing advice for Black Country New Road, market the hell out of Charlie playing banjo. A drummer playing banjo, that's gold right there. You can have that ninja tune, okay? Like I'm saying, man, do a music video with like Charlie on a log in a swamp playing one of the songs. I'm just saying it would be a good video. But like you have to listen to every single thing that they do, and every single time you re-listen, like I would do this. I would listen to a song and be like, okay, now I'm just going to listen to what Luke is doing. I'm just going to pay attention to what the strings are doing. Okay, so there's the pedal steel. Oh, but now it's actually like a nylon string acoustic guitar. Is that some electric guitar? Oh my God, has there been any electric guitar in this whole album? And you're sitting there and you go through this whole and that's why I say you have to listen to all 7 members, because I'm counting the producer, James Ford, because I think his production decisions in here really factor in. And then beyond that, how do you even listen to these songs? Every single one of these songs is like 4 songs. Like every single song is like 5 songs. Every single song is 6 songs. How long? How many am I going to go? I'm going to keep going because that's how it feels. Like you have to listen to it again and again, not just so that you're familiar with it, but so that you can have a chance of catching up with the individual musicianship and the song construction. Now, that's nothing new for Black Country New Road. Neither of these things are new. That's part of what makes Ants from Up There so great, right? Is that it's like every musician's doing something great, and the songs have this what I call movement. I compare it often to the Star Wars episodes 1 through 3, where George Lucas would start a movie on one planet and end on a different planet. And if you're not really paying attention, you're like, were there like termite people at some point in this movie? Like you just sort of like go all over the place and don't know how you get there. Take an example as the Bread song. Most of the songs on this album have that feeling. My next complaint. In the movie Amadeus, I believe it was Salieri, or no, it was the Emperor who said to Mozart, "Too many notes." I thought when I listened to this album for the first time, too many words. Yeah, but it's not really that. It's that I think I have a hard time picking up some of the high register vocals. And that's why you got to keep listening and you got to hear what they're singing and understand what it is. And then finally, the thing that I think is the greatest strike against this album, against Forever Howling, which is how it autocorrects, okay? Forever Howling by Black Country New Road. What is that noise? Man, that's an unsettling noise. The biggest strike and its biggest attribute is it is really, really not an Isaac album. Whoever Isaac Wood was, he is really not here. And I think that is great. Not because I don't like him, but I feel like it doesn't feel like I like the From Bush Hall album a lot, but his absence was so felt, it was so new. What I find interesting is that like it's these interactions between these 3 people. It's the success of the multiple model of not having the burden of singular genius that was so understandably odious to Isaac has now been taken away, and instead of just giving that burden to another person, they've spread it out and allowed this multiplicity of voices to be as interesting as the one. It's 3 voices, 3 visions, but in my opinion, it carries the strength and the clarity of the one. To go even one step further, for those of you who are still just chewing on this thing, Isaac is, as I say, he's charismatic self-loathing, right? That's one of his things. He's able to communicate in a way that's really great, which allows him to relate to a lot of people. I would say especially a lot of a certain kind of male audience, like I was, and let's face it, still kind of am, outsiders who spend too much time inside. You know what I'm saying? like not the biggest losers, okay? Not like the biggest nerds in the world, nor the cool guys, but just kind of outsiders who spend too much time inside. But here's the plot twist for Forever How Long. That's kind of what this album's about too. It's just women. It's just for ladies. Like the primary themes that I hear in here are loneliness, interpersonal failure, social isolation, depression at a drab routine. Like that's our bread and butter, everybody. It's just, it happens to be through a female lens, from a female perspective. And so it makes sense. You might lose some of the audience who are the nerdy male outsiders who spend too much time inside core, but it really shouldn't. Like whatever it was, the feeling that I get from listening to Ants from Up There, just the pure joy of the music, and then the sort of I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the lyrics and the vocals, but the bummer or the heaviness, the enjoyable heaviness of the lyrics, it's still here. It's just not with a dude saying, singing the way he sings, with ladies. And so maybe you hear it, and maybe ladies, who am I? Jerry Lewis, ladies, but by women singing in a higher register. but it still has perfect British every day is like Sundayness. You know, like you need some good British artists to come out with some everydays like Sunday style music, and that's kind of what this album is. And what I think is great, and what might be throwing people off, is that there is an answer. So, oh my God, am I going to talk about existentialists again? I am. Okay. So, existentialists were interesting because they understood that we're all going to die and that's what unites us all. But that's not the real way to understand existentialists. What makes them great is that they understood that we're all going to die and that unites us all. And that makes life absurd. But you can find meaning in life if you find community, if you relate and have empathy towards other people, if you can make meaningful connections to other human beings, then your meaningless life can have some meaning because you can be united in the knowledge that we are all going to die and have some sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, and envyhood with the people around you. Okay? That's like the secret uplifting message of existentialism. I feel like this album is kind of that way too. Because friendship, which starts off the album with the song Besties and is kind of traced throughout, friendship is the answer. That's the existential problems that are put forth in this album of just how drab life is, how terrible relationships are, just how boring and drab and scary. And there's some very, very dark themes on here. There is a way out, and it's human connection, just as it is with the existentialists. I'd like to do a thought experiment while we go on to this theme of the solitary genius versus the multiple voices. What if this album were not by three different women? Does it work? Is it not actually possible to hear this as being one person? Now, of course it's not. It's three different people. But thematically, the feelings of insignificance go from one singer to another. The questions of isolation and failed relationships go from one singer to another. The boring nature of daily life go from one singer to another. It's like it is amazingly cohesive, but it's so poetically written that it takes time to understand, to break it down. I have to be honest, I don't fully understand all the lyrics yet. I don't think I ever will fully understand the lyrics, okay? And I think it's very relatable. I think if you can relate to if you liked Black Country New Road, I'm going to be your algorithm, okay? If you liked Black Country New Road, try Black Country New Road because I think it has a lot of the same themes. And maybe if you're a dude out there and you can't relate to it because it's a woman and it's not a man, I just have to say, what are you, a child? You need someone to have all the same experiences as you? You can't understand the human experience if this one element is different? No, you're good. You're good. So as I've been listening to this album, what I really did is I really just focused on it. I've been listening to it all over the place. The worst place to listen to this album is in the car. That is where I listen to it a lot on my way to work. I would say the best place is on a hi-fi. Just really crank it out. Just really, you just want to do that. And headphones is great because you get to hear the details. But as I listen to the individual songs over the past couple days, I've just moved on to listening to the whole album, trying to suss out if there's some kind of cohesive structure to it. Okay? Now, first of all, it's interesting because they have 3 singers, 11 songs, and they divided it 5 Tyler songs, 3 May songs, and 3 Georgia songs. And I've been thinking, is there some kind of secret formula to this? How does this all work? And I figured it out finally today when I looked at this. All right? Right there, right somewhere. There we go. You see? That right there is the A, B, C, D, because the vinyl is broken up into 4 sides. The first side starts with Georgia, May, Tyler. And then the last side, the 4th side, has Tyler, May, Georgia. So it's actually inverted. All right? So it starts with Georgia, ends with Georgia. Second song is May. Second to last song is May. Third song is Tyler. Third to last song is Tyler. Okay? So it has that kind of symmetry. And then in the middle, it goes Tyler, Georgia, Tyler, Tyler, May. So that you have these doubles. I know I've been doing math all day. So that in the end, it goes Georgia, May, Tyler, Tyler, Georgia, Tyler, Tyler, May, Tyler, May, Georgia. So there is like some kind of superstructure on that. I don't know that it particularly matters, but I find that interesting that Georgia and May get to start and get to open and close the album, despite the fact that they have fewer songs. And let's talk more about like the imagery here too. Just because like I think this is an important way of understanding the album. I think I think the ants from up there is perfect. It matches that album perfectly, and I think this art matches itself perfectly as well. When I first saw this album cover, I said, "What the hell is that? A sun with sunglasses? What is this? A second grade teacher's classroom? Like, what's the album called? Like, Math is Fun? Come on!" Like, that was my first reaction. But the thing is, this guy, Jordan Key, he has this deceiving brightness, his deceiving lack of complexity, when there actually is complexity in what he's doing. And as I spent more time looking at it and thinking about it, this is what the inside looks like. It's kind of cool. I actually ended up getting one of his pieces, and that helped me to understand something more about him. So, jordankey.com. I'm not sponsored, but I like supporting artists. He has plenty of original pieces of art left. Okay, this is the one that I got. It says it's called Eagle Discovers Fire. All right. Now, it's a super badass, cool painting, and it's kind of simple, and it looks kind of childishy, okay? I mean, not childishy, but it looks sort of simple and kind of cartoony. But what I love about this, and why I chose this one, is look at his eyeball. Do you see how there's just a little reflection of the fire in the eyeball from what he's looking at? When I look at this painting, it just brings me so much joy because I see that little tiny detail, that little bit of just a little extra something and vision that he brought to it. And I think that's found in the rest of the work and the rest of the artwork that he brings here. And it feels to me like it's an intentional challenge to the previous viewer who wants a certain kind of Black Country New Road and has to come to terms with the new one. We're not going to have a cool sort of this, that. We're going to have this like smiling sun holding on to a star. By the way, if you go to jordankey.com, you can buy prints for $35. I suggest doing it. Original art like that, if you have a steady income and good health insurance, and it was before you lost a lot of your retirement on tariffs, it's okay. I'm not going to retire. I'm not going to retire soon. So what do I have to worry about, right? So those paintings are $400, and he has a big one for $9,000. I don't have the money to buy that, but it's a very nice painting out there. So let's get to the question that I started the review off with. Is this their best album? No. No, but it may be the one I end up listening to the most. It is another masterpiece of theirs. And the comparison I like to make is, Pet Sounds by Beach Boys. You can't beat it. You just can't beat it. You just can't beat it. But the Smile Sessions, like what the Beach Boys did after, it's not as good. But I sort of enjoy listening to it more. Like, if I have to put on a Beach Boys album, even though Pet Sounds is just track by track by track by track perfection, it's that lightning in the bottle that I was talking about. There's something sort of extra about Smile. There's something kind of too much, overly ornate, overly complex, overly stuffed. In a similar way, it's got multiple different visions, multiple different ideas. Well, okay, it was the same person, but he himself was kind of multiple at that point. So that's the comparison that I would make. That, like, I wouldn't say that Smile is the best Beach Boys album, but it is the one that I listen to the most, and I think I enjoy the most. I will also say that if you get the vinyl, they have these really great lyric sheets that include writing from their recording sessions. And I feel like it really helps you to understand their craft because they have just all these little sheets with things. So if we take, for example, on the song The Big Spin, which was recorded on my birthday, my 47th birthday, September 13th, 2024, like Vox, upright piano, bass, guitar, fix, double tracks. So you understand they had to go back and do more guitar work on there. Percussion stuff, mandolin, and then tremolo bits, sparkle, and then flute on silly sax bit verse. So like that's not clicked. That silly sax bit is not clicked. So you can sort of understand the way that they worked and the magic of them recording. And this was I don't know if James Ford was in conversation with Sergio Maseczko, the person who produced their last album, but I feel like he at least was paying attention because the album has a lot of room, a lot of room mic energy, okay? It has a lot of things that are recorded with that space. The fact that they recorded the songs one a day, it appears. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading this right, but it appears to be one a day that they're recording these things and they're putting all these songs together, and it has that magic of being a great live band recorded on an album that's also a great studio album, right? It's just great. Now, the thing that really connects me to this album, and it's what connects me especially to Ants from Up There as well, it's sort of like the eyeball in this painting, okay? There's hooks, right? There's hooks. There's things that you like. There's things that you like. There's songs that are catchy and that you get sung, and that's great. Black Country New Road has the ability, usually just instrumentally, to do what I call a deep hook. Something that goes beyond the surface, beyond, I don't know, Tom's Diner, okay? Great song. I love Suzanne Vega. But, that's a simple hook. Right? It's a good hook, but it's a simple hook. What Black Country New Road has is that when you love their music, the way that I love their music, and you listen to them enough and you see the instrumentation, there's just these little moments where you just live for hearing that one moment, okay? Like, there's this one little piano bit on an outro on one song, and the entire time I listen to this album, that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to do. I just want to hear that. And that's what I call a deep hook. So I'm going to go through the Old Man in the Sea, Santiago, if I remember correctly. I did a summer book report on Old Man in the Sea 2 years in a row. I thought I got away with it because I didn't have to read. Little did I know I would choose a profession where I had to read. So I'm going to go over all of the deep hooks. If you like what you're watching, smash the like button, subscribe. AVAA stands for awesome video as always. I'm now going to actually talk about the music. So this was fun. How long has this been? 33 minutes? We're doing well. You doing okay? I am hot. I am very hot in my little new recording studio. If you only watch my Black Country New Road stuff, this is the studio that my wife kind of made up for me here. I got my dogs kind of sleeping down there. They're doing pretty well. If you like what you see, smash the like button, subscribe. AVAA stands for awesome video as always. If you want to join my Patreon to offset the fact that my retirement fund, it was such a good bet for such a long period of time. That's okay. It's okay. I'm not retiring anytime soon. And YouTube, fortunately, I didn't lose anything from my YouTube retirement fund. All right, so I'm going to go through the album. I'm going to start off with the song Besties, which I've already did an entire video about, so go watch that video. So what I'll just do is talk about how I hear it in the context of the whole album. It's my favorite song. It's my favorite song, but it's just my favorite song because I think I hear it so much. And because I have 3 daughters, and it's very funny because I'm sort of like, well, which one is which? So I think my oldest daughter is the most like Tyler. That could just be because she's older. So like every time she hears a song, she gets excited because she just loves harpsichord. She's like, I want to learn how to play harpsichord. I'm like, well, you could have just kept learning piano. And she was like, oh, right. It's not a different instrument, right? And just the triumph of the song and the frail voice to start off, like it does actually start in there is sort of a Isaac-ish vocal because I think a lot of what people miss is his sleepy, laconic, cool guy drawl. There is some of that in here, especially with Tyler singing. And I just love the way the drum goes a little bit behind the beat and the instrumental jam. And what's the deepest hook? You know what the deepest hook is? Listen, there's a Simpsons episode where for some reason there's a fight between like ninjas and the mafia on the Simpsons front yard. And there's just this one little guy wearing a white suit, not moving and not doing anything. And they go inside and Marge is like, come on, Homer. And Homer's like, oh no, but that guy's going to do something cool. Look, he's not moving at all. On this whole album, Lewis is an absolute ninja. The saxophone player is an absolute ninja. Like, you will listen to an entire song being like, I guess he's not going to play saxophone. And then he brings out the saxophone. You're like, oh, that was the best part. Oh my God, like unbelievable. Oh my God, the deepest hooks. Do you understand what I'm talking about? The deepest, like I mean, they're not the only band that can do it. But I can't think of a band that does this with this consistency because they're always doing so much interesting stuff musically. All 6 of them are so constantly doing things that are interesting, that go together. I can't, I'm trying to think of the other bands that I love, whatever. I mean, okay, so I guess like if you listen to a lot of the Smiths, like Johnny Marr individually will do those things, but it's like 6 Johnny Marrs playing together. Like, what are they going to do next? I did watch the interview with Anthony Fantano. That was fun. And I appreciated the fact that Georgia admitted that the TikTok line, she was going to take it out, but she left it in because that's what Isaac would have done. I'm telling you, like, this album is very not Isaac, but it's also kind of Isaac because it is. That's the Billie Eilish style kind of lyric in there. So yeah, it's my favorite song because I lived with it the longest, and also friendship is the answer. It is. Then we go into the next song, The Big Spin. This is a May track. Breezy and fun melody, almost like a drinking song vibe. That's what I had in the beginning with these crashing pianos, this cacophonous joy. Remember how I said there isn't enough drums? Have you listened to the drums on this song? I didn't. First 7 times I listened to it. And then, I don't know, the 8th time. He's doing these little tiny fills. It goes sounds like this. It's great. It's really great. It's like melodic. It's interesting. It's so cool, especially the way it plays with the guitar and then the saxophone in the back. And okay, so I've discussed Besties, and that's great. That's sort of about the value of friendship and the importance of that. This one is another, I believe, this is about, it's like gardens and cutting up fruit and making pies. It feels very seasonal. It feels very cyclical. And it feels like it might even also be a little cynical just about the big spin as in the big spin of the world is like another year passing by. Sort of maybe a kind of darkly cynical song about the boredom. The lemons might make a comeback this year. Maybe we'll get Beats to join us this time around the sun. You fetch the apples, I'll bake the pie. Maybe we'll all fall out. Or is it the opposite? Or is it a really sweet way of thinking about time? I can't tell. You tell me in the comments. What do you think? It's either a cynical song about how who cares about how time's passing, or it's a positive song saying like, hey, maybe we'll get lemons back. And that beautiful whole verse where the lyrics, like where like the melody matches the singing and these the whole stomping sounds, and then there's just for one second, a little woodblocky sound. I swear to God, they've been listening to Smile. I don't know. It wasn't on their mood board. They released a playlist mood board. That was such a Beach Boys little, just for one little second. And it ends just gorgeously with the piano and the melody. And what's the deep hook? That's the thing. It's these little discordant piano notes. There's a little slurry handed thing. And I don't know if you know this, all the musicians in this band are very good, if not virtuoso, approaching virtuoso level of musicians. So this little burn, this little burn. It's amazing, especially when you pair it together with the okay? You want me to see me do it together? I've got a doctorate. Next song is called Socks. I didn't like this song. I didn't. This song, I was like, oh man, this is it. I guess I'm done. I guess, first two tracks are good. I love the song. What helped me to understand this song, this is the first Tyler song on the album, is try to break it down into parts. Now, I'm going to save you the time and not do that for every song, but I could. So, like, part one is this playful piano, sort of reminding me, like, you know how Paul McCartney, towards like the back half of the Beatles' career, would always try to throw on one sort of old-timey song, like When I'm 64, Your Mother Should Know, Oh Darling. Like he's always like, hey fellas, what if we did something that sounded like really old, And this has that kind of feel in the beginning. And they do this cute thing where there's like these dun dun, and this is what you'd expect, right? So there's this little cute little note where they go up an octave, dun dun, and then they go up another octave, dun dun, but they don't play the second note. So it's just dun dun, dun, and it builds in that little tension. There was a note that was too cute. I think in the Fantano interview, Charlie was saying that they were scared of being perceived of as twee, which, first of all, twee is the new cringe, okay? If you're afraid of people thinking you're twee, then seriously, they should just go fuck off. Just fuck them. If you're twee, be twee. If you're cringe, be cringe. That's just in general. In general, like, there's no bad quality. Being twee is not in and of itself a bad quality, okay? But anyways. But still, it maybe would have been a little too twee if they completed this little octave. Ding, 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 ding. So they leave it off because they're afraid to be a little twee. A little too twee. They don't want to be too twee. You never go full twee. And these lyrics I came to love. So again, this is my interpretation. I'm not going on Genius. They sent me the lyrics along with the album. So this is my interpretation as far as I can tell. So I have the two babies, and then I have a 19-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. Do you know how hard it is for a girl to feel like people think she's smart? Like, you know how societally programmed women are and girls are to not feel smart and not feel funny? Because, of course, intelligence and humor are closely connected. It's crazy. Like, my daughter, she's really smart and really funny, and I've always communicated that to her. I've never communicated anything else. I've never called one the smart one and one the not smart one. Like, I've just always been straight down the middle. But like, I can't control what my dad does. I can't do what her weird uncles do. I can't control how people in school treat it. So like, I feel like a lot of this album is expressing a lot of things that I imagine women feel. I don't know. I spend a lot of time around women. I enjoy, but it's not my lived experience. I thought it once, I thought it well, and maybe even time could tell that all I know and all I've known could fit into a little tiny box, and all the world would laugh and lose their socks. I think that's what it's about. It's about that sense of like men are more likely to just think they're smart and they know stuff. Just because that's how we've been socialized, right? That's just socialization. That's not men are bad. That's patriarchy is bad. And patriarchy has told us that men know things. And just the way she expresses these things and the way she says, lose their socks. I hated it at first because I didn't get it, but now I think it's wonderful. The idea of just the world laughing at you because you don't know enough. And then the way the violins just join in here. This is what I'm talking about. This isn't even the deepest hook on the song, but this is a deep hook. This is right here. Old Man in the Sea, not doing too bad right here. Then the second part is this little interstitial bit. How did they even think of this part? Dun, 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 dun. This little march. How do they think to have this small plodding sound? How did they think of this? This doesn't follow from the last thing. There's not like okay, so when you have an interesting kind of mournful beginning singing song and then you're leading into something way more epic and then what we're going to have to do is like a little like borderline French Baroque style march in the middle of your intersection, okay? They're doing so much here. It's beautiful. This little drone on the violin, and then the saxophone comes in. The ninja comes back, okay? I want you to imagine, okay, I want you to imagine the saxophone player. I want you to imagine Lewis wearing a completely white suit with his arms folded, not doing anything. You don't even see his saxophone. But then all of a sudden, boom, it's right there. And that's the third part, the gentle sax and guitar. How many things can one read till they feel they are not afraid of it all? Beautiful lyrics. Again, is there some amount that you can think you're smart? How do you believe you're smart? How do you believe yourself into being smart? Nice little fourth part is kind of goofy and light with piano and violin, and the chorus there's no rhyme. For when all is said and done and all what is left is far beyond the problems that are listed, it may be easy, follow me and believe me that our life holds a light no life has held before. Even if we're not perceived of as being smart or brilliant, that our life has a light that no one has held before. Is that true? Is that true? That all of our lives hold light that no life has held before. Is that not liberating? Is that not wonderful? Is it not cheesy? Sure. But I've never heard someone say it before. I guess the fifth part, I lost track here. This little waltzing piano and a saxophone, this modulating bit led by the saxophone, it modulates up, and all of a sudden the drums are just bursting out of everywhere with this odd time signature, and then it becomes inspirational. And then it gets paired back again. What are we, in the sixth or seventh or eighth part? I lost track. Listen, I was in a hospital bed, okay? I was eating sugar-free pudding. Man, why are they putting sugar-free pudding in hospitals? I'm in a hospital. I don't need aspartame. Thank you, Bo. I need sugar. Man, the disappointment. I've been complaining about some weird things in this video. Yeah. So these lyrics, maybe I speak in a way that make it seem like I was born yesterday, but I'm not afraid of it all. I speak in a way that makes it seem like I was born yesterday. Again, this is my interpretation. Maybe this is not a feminist masterpiece of a song, or not intentionally, but I feel that it is, because often the way that girls and women speak is inherently discounted as being childish, ignorant, unintelligent. Okay? Like, I had to train myself because I used to do a lot of like funny voices, but all my funny voices were either people from the American South, which is like, why would I be regionalist? Or just like female voices. Oh my God. You know, like that joke. Like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I would just do that. And eventually I was told, hey, Skye, that's not cool. And these crashing, blared out, like, I hear the music in my head as I'm trying to describe it. All Things Must Pass. That's the first Beatles reference in the album. Not the last. And then we just get this whole line. Life is good and I feel understood. Do you? And if you don't, let me know. Now here comes the chorus. And that's the deep hook, because I love it, because I hated it and now I love it, because it leads into this great ending. The double, I think Charlie's doing a thing where he's playing double ride cymbals. Yeah, let me look at this and let me see if there's a thing about like double tracking the drums on here, because it sounds like he's doing, let me see here, bowed bass. I didn't even pick that up. Yeah, no, it doesn't say anything here. It says redo drums. So maybe I figured it out. I don't know what, but it sounds to me like they're just doing some crazy stuff here, or he's doing some crazy stuff, because it sounds like it's like double-handed on the ride and then double-handed on the hi-hat. It's just great. And then the deepest hook on the entire album, the point of the album that I will always just go back to listen to. This little tiny plunky piano, just I want it to go on for hours. It just goes on for like 3 seconds. It's a beautiful little piano ditty. And then we get to Salem Sisters. So this is the first back-to-back Tyler song. This is a piano-led song. This is the thing, like, this piano is going to be iconic. In your mind, right now, the album came out yesterday and a half ago, okay? I'm telling you, I'm here from the future. Not just a week ahead of you, but from the far future. This piano, dun, 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 it is going to have this great iconic feel. Salad days are past. Kind of a funny lyric there. The saxophone comes in more oldie style. There's some kind of Smashing Pumpkins-y style guitar here. I'm kind of curious about that. Really charming chorus with these other voices. Happily, there's no one fearing what you said in a tree. It's all just food on fire. It's a very nice interaction between all these singers, and then yet another absolutely perfect deep hook. The way that she sings these two words, quail thighs. I called Wegmans. I called Whole Foods. I called Skip's Meat Shop in Fairport, New York, the best butcher. I tried to get quail thighs because I wanted to eat quail thighs today, and then I wanted to have tongs and hold up quail thighs, but sadly, it is not easy to get quail thighs in Western New York in April 2025. It seems like this is a song about like being burned alive at the stake, maybe. So it might be like a witch story, so it might be kind of tied into the whole theme of the injustice towards women, how women were sort of in a gendered way soloed out and burned at the stake in Salem, Massachusetts. Seems like it could also be sort of like a cannibalism thing, like these women are being eaten. I don't know. It feels to me like it's a general song that like they're sisters, so they have to bond together, but they're bonding together and then they're also being killed together. But at least I guess they're together. Cannibalism is having a moment, right? Squid, crispy skin, right? Isn't that all about that? Quail thighs, grilled on both sides. Oh my God, I'm almost out of battery on my camera. I gotta plug this in. Din, 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 din. Man, I love this album. Okay, Two Horses, another song I thought I didn't like, and I've now come to love. It's the second Georgia track. This just really nice kind of harpsichord and breathy, faraway voice. It's kind of a bizarre Western song, but it's a Western song for all you lonely cowgirls. I don't feel comfortable calling women girls, but cowboys are men. So I think cowgirls is not a sexist term. You tell me in the comments, is cowgirls sexist and cowboys isn't? I love the bass-led bit and the back half here. And I really like this idea because it feels like it's a Western. And again, like this album is like super duper duper feminist without smacking you over the head with it. Because telling a Western story about a lonely traveler and having that lonely traveler be a woman, that's an interesting thing. Like that's the Wild West, the lonesome cowboy. That's the realm of the dudes, not dudes. What's a female dude? I don't know what a female dude is. Dudettes. I'm a faraway traveler. I travel alone, solitary waits, older than the pyramids. So she's talking about this like great loneliness that she feels, and then she meets a man at a bar who looks like James Dean from The Silver Screen. Her romantic. Okay, so she's drawn to this man for two reasons. One, because she's lonely and she wants someone to help her carry the load. And then the other reason is she's a victim of romanticism. She sees someone in a bar and he's very handsome and she projects some kind of safety, some kind of kindness, some kind of goodness onto this person and who does not deserve. And so, of course, the person ends up being a leech and a beggar and kills the horses who's supposed to help. And to me, this is like, it's like a good Taylor Swift song in a way. Like, and I'm not being a jerk. Like, I mean like a good Taylor Swift song about a bad relationship, about being disappointed in men, about wanting something and not having it. But instead of it being kind of right on the nose, it's in this very bizarre Western situation that ends with her potentially taking her own life. There could, depending on how you read this album, be two people who take their own life. I'm telling you, it's a dark album. It's a sad album. It starts off with Besties. Oof. The it's hard. This is maybe the least deep hooky song. I would say that there's this kind of like little stabbing sound that happens with the saxophone, and I think that's what it is. And then the album, perfectly sequenced, leads into Mary. Why is that perfectly sequenced? Because, we've had all these things. We need a little bit of downtime now, okay? I don't want this to make that weird noise again, so I'm going to close this and put that there. Okay. This cute slide guitar or pedal steel guitar, banjo, again. I would love for the music video for this to just be Charlie playing banjo. No one even singing, just him playing the banjo. And it's neat because to me it feels like we're really in this theme now of just sad, lonely women. And this feels like a sad, lonely girl, a school girl, right? A school-age girl who wakes up and the porridge won't be long to dad sat in a chair. It reminds me strongly of maybe one of my favorite lyrics in rock and roll history. The song is called Cut My Hair by The Who off of Quadrophenia. And it's a story about just a sad school boy, right? A sad school-age boy who, I guess he's a teenager. And the final lyric of the song is, the fried egg makes me sick first thing in the morning. Just like the dreary routine and the loneliness and the isolation that he feels in Quadrophenia, this feels like that. This girl is teased at school, and, my 2-year-old, she's going to be starting preschool next year, and I kind of hate to see it. It's not that children are innocent, because they're not, but it's just like there's something about the socialization, like a certain hardness comes over you, a certain like cynicism or awareness that you have to think about your position in society, and you have to think about how people are. And like I hear this song and it goes, no, she's gonna be my little toddler forever, and this, the way that they produce these vocals for her train approaches and she screams in the shower, it's transcendent. It's just a transcendent moment. That's your deep hook. Just the way they sing these words, I can't think of anything that sounds like it. I just love it. It's just absolute. It's so emotionally powerful. And I don't know. I don't know if they were capable of that kind of emotional power before this album. I'm sorry. I'm not saying their other work wasn't emotionally powerful. It was. But I don't know. There's some kind of catharsis in this music that I did not always feel. I'm actually kidding. The deep hook isn't even the shower. Not even that. It's the ninja. The ninja in the white suit. He's not even using a saxophone anymore. He's using a flute. Oh, that's some baby making music right there. Right? Ham and eggs, right? Jesus Christ, this is so good. This is what I'm talking about. The way this, like, how many, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps with just how gorgeous this little flute noise is that comes in. And that's the thing, like, how do you do it 2 albums in a row now, where you have a studio album that have all these little instances that's just